And let's continue our video with the main accessory trends for 2026. I'm sure you're going to love them, so come with me. Number 16 is pieces, accessories made from natural materials. Here, the idea of natural materials reflects the growing movement linked to sustainability and also the appreciation of craftsmanship, which is great. I always say here on the channel that, if you can, always choose to buy directly from the artisan's hands. This way, you value the craft. If you're on a trip and see a beautiful pair of earrings or a necklace made of natural materials, give that support to the local artisan. It will definitely make a difference, and you'll have a unique piece. In 2026, straw and raffia will continue to appear in several accessories, among them handbags. I already mentioned clutches, and they'll come with great strength. While straw looks wonderful in this type of bag, those larger bags, also typical of summer or beach-like environments, will also remain very fashionable. You can also invest in pieces that have wooden details because they look stunning. In my opinion, wood is a noble material. Even though we're not talking about gold or silver, a beautiful wooden piece looks just as lovely, you know? A wooden table looks beautiful, a wooden vase looks beautiful, and the same goes for accessories, guys. It looks amazing, especially when it's wood with strong grain. Well-polished wood, it becomes a dazzling piece. And then you can go for smaller items like rings, earrings, or larger ones. Some handbags, in fact, come with some wooden parts, and I think that looks simply incredible. As I said, you can invest in smaller pieces, earrings, rings, and then gradually add larger ones like necklaces and bags. Remember that in 2026, maximalism will come in strong. So, if you have that large straw or raffia handbag with wooden details, you can wear it without fear because it's a trend that will be very powerful. This is a very versatile trend. It matches practically everyone, but especially favors women who enjoy a style more aligned with natural boho fashion, which will be strong and also with romantic styles since it adds a cozy touch. If you're a woman who likes earthy tones, it's perfect for you. If you're an autumn beauty, it'll be perfect for you as well. In other words, it's a wonderful trend that you can use throughout the entire year. Just because it's winter doesn't mean you can't wear it. You definitely can. The important thing is to combine it with the other items you're wearing. In winter, maybe it's not a good idea to wear a straw bag that looks like a beach bag, but you can wear a straw handbag with leather details, for example, which gives it a slightly more wintry touch. By taking these small precautions, you'll have a very versatile piece that you'll be able to use throughout the year and for many years to come. Number 17 is scarves. Of course, scarves had to appear on our list. After all, they are timeless pieces and extremely versatile. You can buy more classic and sophisticated scarves or invest in more creative ones. Today we have a wide variety. I've already given this tip here, but I'll repeat it. Always give preference to satin or silk scarves that are a little more flexible. Recently, I bought some scarves I didn't like. They had a stiffer fabric and they're not as comfortable, especially if you wear them around the neck. So, be careful to pick a softer fabric. One tip is to pass the scarf through a ring. Especially if you're not sure whether it's silk or satin, just run it through a ring. If the ring holds it tightly and makes a clicking sound, you know, almost like a snap, it's satin, not a natural material. But if the ring slides through easily, then you know you're holding silk. This is also a great tip for thrift shopping. You might even find a silk scarf for the price of a satin one. You can wear scarves in many ways. In 2026, they'll appear, for example, as bandanas, turbans, tied in the hair, especially if you want a boho or retro look. You can also use them tied to a handbag. That way, in addition to highlighting your bag, you add a personal touch, more personality. In fact, this was a trick I learned from my mother. Every time you travel, no matter how, to mark your suitcase, you tie a scarf. Of course, use a cheap scarf, one that's not of great quality, because unfortunately, it might get lost. But it's an excellent way to mark your luggage and not lose sight of it. What a super smart idea. Another way scarves appear in 2026 is as tops. Of course, in this case, it's no longer just an accessory, but becomes a main piece of the look. But since it's created from an accessory, the idea still works, especially if you like a very creative and bohemian look. I think it's amazing. I even saw some ways of tying the scarf into a blazer, and it looked dazzling. So, there are scarves of all kinds for everyone. Of course, They will mostly favor women who enjoy more creative and sophisticated outfits. They also work for those with a more traditional style, especially if it's a neutral, elegant scarf. But I'd say this is a trend that everyone can wear daily. Start by tying it to your handbag, then around your neck, and before you know it, you're using it in your hair, and eventually, you'll have a beautiful scarf collection. Number 18 is pieces with a nautical theme in blue, red, and white. Here, the idea is to bring a maritime inspiration, always recalling details and elements connected to the sea. So, we'll see lots of ropes, lots of compasses. There will also be the addition of metals and resins. The nautical aesthetic is the main highlight of this trend, and the most interesting part is that it's a more classic one. It doesn't add creativity just for the sake of being creative, with too much information. On the contrary, even though the items can be colorful, they're subtle, not exaggerated, and remain sophisticated and traditional. This color combination white, blue, and red has always worked. It's that traditional combination you can always wear with confidence because it never goes wrong. And you don't have to combine all three colors in the same accessory. You can wear just blue and white, red and blue, or red and white. So, you don't need to wear all three together. The idea here is the nautical reference. I also think it's an excellent way to bring natural materials into the look without giving it too much of a boho vibe, which I know not everyone likes. You can, for instance, add a rope detail in these nautical colors, which makes all the difference. I think these pieces look beautiful, especially for women who like tailoring or a more French-inspired style. They go really well with a striped shirt, tailored pants, and those boat shoes I mentioned recently. In other words, this is a trend that's very much in fashion, a trend that's sublime, sophisticated, timeless, versatile, and adaptable. It looks great on women of all ages. It doesn't matter if you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or 80, it will flatter you. In my opinion, this is one of the most versatile and recommendable trends for everyone, making it into today's top list. Number 19 is the balance between accessory maximalism and the minimalism of basic looks. This is a very interesting idea as it brings this trend of contrast, and what I find most exciting is that we'll see the combination of larger pieces, statement pieces, with basic outfits. And why do I have to bring this up? Because I've already talked about big pieces before, but those big pieces can be worn with other large elements, such as embellished dresses, for example. In this case, though, we'll see large pieces being paired with that very basic look, jeans and a t-shirt, everyday shorts, or casual bermudas. In other words, the idea is to bring a touch of glamour into our daily lives, which I find amazing, simply wonderful. You can invest in gold earrings, silver earrings, or resin pieces. The idea is that they should be standout items, large ones. I just advise you to be careful with those pieces that have too many crystal applications, because they can look a little over the top for a daytime look. For an evening look, no, they look beautiful, but for the day, they might feel a bit heavy. On the other hand, those sleeker designs that come in solid gold or solid silver work very well for everyday wear. Here's what you can do. Combine them with a monochrome look. For example, a gorgeous gold earring with an all-black outfit. Pure luxury. You all know I love that combination. In my opinion, black and gold equals pure luxury. Do you want something more youthful, more modern? A large silver earring or necklace. Silver brings modernity, brings sobriety, and you can pair it with, say, tailoring in gray or white, which also adds brightness and freshness. Guys, it looks stunning, absolutely beautiful. It's perfect and also works really well in professional settings. If you're not into tailored clothing, don't worry. It works beautifully with jeans, cargo pants, flared skirts. It suits every style. Of course, it will vary depending on your personal style. In a romantic style, we might see a large floral piece. In a sensual style, you might have a more daring earring that drops down toward the shoulders. So, apart from these specific variations, maximalist accessories are on the rise, and you don't need to wear them with dazzling outfits. Everyday clothes will already look perfect with them. Number 20 is oversized sunglasses. Oversized glasses, inspired by the 1970 seconds and also the 2000s, remain a major highlight. Here, you'll see frames made of acetate, geometric shapes that range from round to square, slightly elongated formats, but always big. As I always say on the channel, sunglasses are something you need to adapt properly to your face. They can't extend too far beyond your face, and they shouldn't be too large or too small. The idea of oversized glasses is that they're already bigger, but if you pick something too exaggerated, it won't look good. So, as I always say, try them on. Many eyewear stores today offer that service where you can virtually try on glasses, you know? I actually think that's extremely clever. You put your face there and it shows how the glasses would look on you. I love it! As I often give these tips, let me repeat. If you want to highlight the roundness of your face, if you want to make your face appear younger, choose a more rounded frame. If you want glasses that enhance the square shape of your face, the angles, then go for a more squared frame. If you want to lift your gaze, you know those people whose eyes tilt down slightly at the ends? That's my case. So what do? I always go for cat-eye glasses. That way, I lift my gaze. And let's face it, cat-eye glasses are so gorgeous, right girls? You've got to agree with me. So, this is a very simple, very practical way to use an accessory that, in addition to protecting us, also creates that flattering effect on our faces. And of course, this works for both sunglasses and prescription glasses. So, if you like big glasses, now is the perfect time. You'll pay much less because there are so many options available on the market. And tell me, what are those accessories you love to wear daily? I want to know in the comments. Do you already know that your comment influences other subscribers here on the channel? I've seen so many people exchanging tips, and I think that's wonderful. This comment space is for you, okay? So, I want to see your comment. And you also know you help me a lot when you type in the magic words of the day, which today are Accessories 2026. I'm counting on your help so I can keep bringing videos to you every day. While you leave your comment, let's continue with the video. Number 21 is accessories with metallic applications. Here, we'll see a wide variety of accessories. We'll have handbags, belts, shoes, boots, everything you can imagine, all of them with metallic details. So, we'll see studs, eyelets, and more. The idea here is to bring a little more weight and, of course, that rock and roll vibe to our pieces. In fact, the rebel chic trend, which blends rock and roll elements with touches of grunge, strongly references these stylized items. What I find most exciting about this trend is that you can do it at home. You can take an old pair of sneakers, old boots, a belt you're tired of, or a jacket, and add these metallic details. You can buy kits online to apply studs, create patterns, design them however you want. I actually think it's an amazing way to revamp a forgotten item. Another idea is to buy something secondhand and then add your own metallic customizations. That works great too. If you'd rather buy something ready-made, check your local thrift store. There's a good chance you'll find something in this style tucked away. After all, it's an aesthetic that was popular some time ago and then faded, so you may stumble upon pieces with these metallic details. If you'd rather buy something new, that won't be a problem either, because right now this trend is hot and you'll find a huge variety of items with metallic applications. Honestly, all types of pieces you can imagine and in different styles. It's not the most sophisticated aesthetic in the world, and it's not the most romantic either. It definitely has a stronger visual weight. So, I recommend it to those who like grunge aesthetics, urban style, or even a more glam vibe. It also works, but with that glam leaning more toward glitter rock. So, if you identify with this aesthetic, I think it's something you should definitely add because it brings a lot of intensity and richness to your look. You don't need to wear it all at once. You can add just a belt or a jacket or a small detail on your shoes and gradually build it up. I think it's an amazing trend, and I'm really happy when it's something we can create at home. Number 22 is hairbands. Here, you will find a huge variety of materials such as fabrics, satin, crochet, basically all kinds of materials, making this trend very versatile. It is also inspired by the boho chic style and the aesthetics of the 60 seconds and 70 seconds. What I find most interesting is that these pieces are very practical for everyday life, right girls? It's an easy way to keep your hair out of your face. They look really pretty. For me, they also go really well with those who enjoy that more preppy style. They work for women who like a slightly retro, slightly vintage touch within their looks. Although they bring a more sporty vibe, these pieces blend very well with the traditional, elegant, and sophisticated style. I even think they go perfectly with sporty elegance, which is a very strong trend for 2026. In other words, it's a piece that looks good on everyone and flatters everyone. If you're the kind of woman who has a hard time wearing head accessories because you think they look too flashy, I'll give you the same tip I mentioned earlier. Choose one in a color close to your hair. If your hair is black, go for a black band. If your hair is blonde, choose a beige band that matches your shade of blonde. This way, you can start incorporating this accessory into your wardrobe and daily life without that initial shock. Because, honestly, for someone who has never worn one, it might feel a bit strange, right? That piece of fabric sitting in your hair can feel odd. So, to avoid that, always start with a tone close to your hair color. It won't look exaggerated. In fact, it will look sophisticated and elegant. Over time, you can get a little bolder. Another tip: if you've never worn a band and think it will feel strange, choose a plain one with no designs, nothing too bold, no large prints, nothing too colorful. That way, it becomes much easier. If you've never worn a hairband and decide to start with a colorful, floral, ultra bright neon one, you'll definitely find it strange. So, as I always say, start with small steps. That way, you'll always feel beautiful, appreciated, and happy with the result. And of course, this is a very inexpensive, highly accessible trend. You'll find hairbands for a symbolic price, so it's super easy to add them to your daily looks. How nice that this trend is back. It's a trend I find adorable. It pairs perfectly with casual outfits, but also works in slightly more sophisticated situations. Perfect! In my opinion, it's a trend that came back to stay. Number 23 is elegant brooches. As you know, brooches were huge icons in past decades, and they have returned in a personalized, sophisticated, and creative way. The most interesting thing is that these brooches can be placed on any piece of clothing: a dress, a coat, a blazer, a jacket. It all depends on your style. They bring a slightly vintage and sophisticated touch and work really well within a workwear aesthetic. For example, for day-to-day use, you can choose pieces that have a slightly older vibe, more delicate, intricate, or detailed pieces, or you can go for more modern, bold, simple, and creative ones. Again, it depends on your style. Either way, these elegant brooches are very much in fashion. What I find interesting is that they bring personality. I've recently noticed that fashion is moving strongly toward individuality, something unique, something that's yours. And although this particular trend highlights elegant brooches, if you want to wear a more creative, even playful brooch, I see no problem at all. In fact, I think it's an excellent way to showcase your creativity. Something I love is when people wear brooches connected to their hobbies. For example, if someone paints, they might wear a brooch shaped like paint tubes or brushes, something related to art, or even a miniature painting. I think it looks so sweet, so beautiful. The same goes for any other profession or hobby. I believe it adds so much personality, making the person look truly special. So think about it. You don't need a brooch that looks like it costs thousands and thousands. You just need a piece that relates to your personality and start wearing it. Try pinning it on a jacket or blazer, and I'm sure it will look very creative. In my opinion, it's perfect. I'm even making my own list of brooches on Shein because I think it's amazing. I have many hobbies and enjoy many different things, so I believe it's an excellent idea to decorate the clothes I already own and bring a lot of personality. Number 24 is a very recent trend: striped scarves and shawls. Guys, this trend has arrived with great strength, okay? Stripes are already a classic, especially in nautical style, and now they are showing up in scarves and shawls, mainly for colder days, but they can also be worn in slightly warmer weather when the day cools down. You know, when you're near the beach, and as the day ends, it starts getting a little chilly? That's a perfect opportunity. They can be made in various materials like wool, knit, or others that keep you thermally comfortable. The colors vary a lot, but I've noticed a tendency toward yellow. Of course, tones like white paired with red, black, and white, navy and white, or navy, white, and red are combinations that work really well and are already classics. The most interesting part is that you can wear this trend whether you're a more creative, urban woman or a more sophisticated one. Here's a note. If the stripes are thicker and wider, the piece becomes bolder and more creative. If the stripes are thinner, the piece becomes more traditional and sophisticated. So just pay attention to this. If you're an elegant woman, go for medium or thin stripes. If you're more creative and bold, go for slightly thicker stripes. This way, you match your style with the prince pattern. Number 25 is fringe pieces. Here we are going to see, for example, shoes, bags, and jackets. The interesting thing about fringes is that they are very reminiscent of boho of the 70s. They are also connected to the Western style, which means they will appeal to that crowd that is a little more fashion forward, a little more daring. These fringes can be short or long. If you are a slightly clumsy woman like me, I recommend shorter fringes because longer ones tend to get caught in places. You know, when you're at a restaurant, you stand up and almost take the chair with you, or when you walk through a door and get caught on the handle. If that's the case for you, long fringes are not a good choice. Shorter fringes will be better and will help you avoid problems. Another detail I like to point out is that it doesn't have to be anything too bold. You can have just one detail, something small, without exaggeration. If you've never worn anything with fringe and still have doubts, I would suggest starting with a bag with a small fringe, nothing too bold, but something you can match with the other items in your wardrobe. In my opinion, it doesn't make sense to buy fringe pieces if they don't match anything you already have in your wardrobe or the colors you usually wear. So, if your wardrobe is entirely black and white, don't buy a caramel-colored bag just because it has fringe. Unless you like it, of course. If you like it, then there's no problem. But if you do buy it, you might find it odd later. And what should you do then? Buy a fringed bag that's either black or white, so it goes well with what you already have. If you are a very romantic woman, the same tip applies. Start with small details, because this isn't really a trend focused on the romantic style. It's more connected to the creative, the boho, and the urban, especially when it comes in colors like gray and black. It will depend on your style. Like everything I always bring here, there isn't one single trend that works for everyone. Now, if you love the 70s and the boho style, then you really need to have at least one fringe item in your wardrobe. It will be that standout piece, the one that draws attention, because let's be honest, these items are everything when it comes to those styles. And since they're trending, why not enjoy them? As I always say, before rushing to the store, check out a thrift shop because these pieces are often forgotten there. That way, you can save some money too. If you enjoy this video, trends, beauty, and tips, you need to subscribe to the channel because there are new videos here every day, always talking about fashion and beauty with lots of advice. And I don't just talk about trends, I also say who should wear them, who should avoid them, who is flattered by them, and who isn't. If you like videos with lots of images, examples, and information, then you really should subscribe. And of course, turn on the notification bell. That way, YouTube will let you know every day when a new video comes out, always made with love for you. While you subscribe, let's continue with the video. Number 26 is east-west bags. These bags have a horizontal and elongated shape, which is very elegant and also practical for everyday life. They are inspired by luxury models from the early 2000s and come in different colors, including neutral tones like browns and earthy shades, and of course, traditional black. Another stunning option, in my opinion, is burgundy red, which is beautiful, sophisticated, and elegant. However, it's not as neutral and may make the bag stand out more than you want, depending on your outfit. That's something important to keep in mind. If you are very petite and slim, this bag might look oversized on you. That doesn't mean you can't buy one, but you should go for a slightly smaller version. This is a long bag and it looks amazing on the runway because the models are tall. But for us shorter women, it can sometimes make us look even shorter. So, the best choice is to go for a mini version, a size proportional to you. In my opinion, this bag is sophisticated, elegant, and understated. It pairs beautifully with looks meant for the workplace. If you like tailoring, this bag is perfect. Even if your style isn't romantic or delicate, you can wear it without a problem. That doesn't mean that romantic women can't wear it at all. But let's be honest, this bag leans towards something more classic, urban, and refined. It is sophisticated, luxurious, and brings a touch of power. That's why I recommend that if you are very delicate and sweet, you might want to avoid it. There are more rounded and softer models that will work better with your wardrobe. Number 27 is charm bracelets. Here we have a huge variety of bracelets and charms. The idea is for you to create your own model. You choose the charms according to your style, tastes, hobbies, and profession. If you have children, you can pick a charm that represents them. If you have pets, you can choose charms related to them. The point is to bring a lot of creativity and personality into your bracelet composition. It doesn't matter if the bracelet is silver, gold, or rose gold, that depends on your taste. You also don't need to wear huge charms. A small one that represents something meaningful is just fine. This trend has been around for some time and now comes with even more variety. If I'm not mistaken, it became especially popular thanks to Pandora bracelets, which brought in the idea of having multiple charms. But you don't need to buy from that brand. Do it your way, with whichever brand you like. The important thing is that you enjoy it, buy it, and wear it in a fun and personalized way. It's also an accessible trend because you can choose charms made of steel, whether gold-plated or silver. This is a trend that anyone can wear, regardless of age, and I think it's super creative. Number 28 is statement belts. Anyone who knows this channel knows that I've been mentioning creative belts, which are the big hit of 2025 and for 2026. Here we have a huge variety of models, ranging from the simplest to the boldest. We also have combinations of multiple belts. So yes, you can wear more than one belt in the same outfit, creating something bold and creative. I always tell you to start with something simpler. So buying a black, brown, or even off-white belt tends to match most of the pieces in your wardrobe. If you want to be a bit bolder, you can invest in more creative shades like that neon-leaning green, which is trending for 2026, as well as shades of purple. It will depend a lot on your style. If you want to stay between creative and sophisticated, shades of red, whether tomato red, cherry red, or burgundy, also make perfect sense. The interesting thing is that this is a piece we can say is timeless, right? The belt has a function, but at this moment, it is taking center stage. You can also invest in pieces with large, decorated, eye-catching buckles. Belts made entirely of metal can also be chosen. The idea here is to adapt this trend to your personal style. If you're a minimalist person who wears only black and white, buying a black belt with a slightly more eye-catching, yet still neutral buckle will work very well for you. If you're a very creative woman, you can be bold, go to a thrift store, buy several belts, modify them, and make them your own. If you're a slightly more romantic girl, I would say to buy slightly thinner and more delicate belts with a more rounded and romantic buckle. In other words, it's a trend that works for everyone. Number 29 is also a recent trend, which is asymmetrical earrings. Here, what you can do is mix different earrings, or you can buy earrings that are already asymmetrical from the factory. The interesting thing here is that this trend brings creativity, a modern touch, and a very fashion-forward vibe. It was seen on various runways in 2025, so it's a trend coming in strong. In my opinion, it's very interesting, it's a youthful trend, it's a fun trend, and, as I said before, you can mix it with your hobbies, your tastes, and what you like. This way, you can bring a lot of personality when putting together your outfit. In my opinion, it's a very youthful trend, you know? It really gives a modern touch. So, I wouldn't say it's the most sophisticated trend of all, especially if your style is more traditional, like Chanel. So, it's not the priciest Chanel trend out there, but if you are a slightly more modern woman, it will work very well for you. I think it looks very beautiful with dresses, especially longer dresses that are more fitted to the body. And then, on one side, you can have a long earring, and on the other, a slightly smaller earring. Guys, this asymmetry makes the look divine, super modern, wonderful, the face of 2026. Number 30 is butterfly clips, just like in the 2000s. Colored, transparent, metallic, anything goes. The idea here is to adorn your hairstyles, whether buns or braids. These butterfly clips especially enhance those with a more romantic, youthful, and playful style, as well as anyone who enjoys the 2000s aesthetic. Guys, it's a cute trend. If you feel you can't wear it because of your age, just swap those ultra-feminine, delicate, super colorful clips for simpler metallic ones and don't use too many at once. This way, you can enjoy the same trend in a more sober way. Guys, who doesn't remember the 2000s with these butterflies in their hair? I use them a lot, really a lot. And I want to know if you use them too. I love seeing your opinions here in the comments. And of course, in the previous video, I talked about another 15 accessories, which are the first part of this video. So I'll leave that video appearing on your screen so you can check it out as well. I'll see you there.